today we will be discussing about safeguarding our planet. I myself, my name is Nay Anna, and my colleagues are Ryan, Joy, and Shikemi. Okay. One of the opening statements of this video states that this is the fourth year in a row the World Economic Forum has named the climate crisis as the biggest threat to our global economy. So therefore, this video talks about the climate change issues currently impacting the planet and our economic environment as well. The video describes issues that the climate change is causing, such as severe weather conditions, rising sea levels, and other climate disasters. A positive spin is placed on these by the panelists. The video uses a few different types of discourse to push this topic, and the first is the use of the famous environmental activist Greta Thunberg, the face of climate change. At the start of the video, I'm pleading to politicians to make changes that will help aid the environment. The second is through conversations and discussions with the main panelists, and thirdly is the use of Sir David's latest documentary, Our Planet. This is used in multiple communication channels, and it enables it to appeal to an array of individuals to get the climate change message across. Right, so the video goes into details on how we are negatively impacting our planet through emissions and other means, and utilizing factors such as 110 million tons of pollution into the atmosphere, an equivalent of 500,000 Hiroshima-sized bombs every day on this Earth's surface, and 18 of the 19 hottest years ever recorded was within the last 19 years as well. The ice on Greenland is melting 4 times faster than it was, and the South Antarctic ice is beginning to melt rapidly as well. However, there is a positive spin placed on this topic, and as Al Gore states, we have the solutions now. What is particularly frustrating is that people that want to push this action forward, but okay, so what makes it particularly frustrating for people that want to push this action forward? This video is attempting to show people that the change needs to occur, and we have the tools already to do so. So now over to my colleague, Joy.
I'll be looking at the panelists on the World Economic Forum. We have Al Gore, the former Vice President of the United States of America. He's an environmental activist, and he's a systematic person for policy change. His net worth is worth $200 million. In 2007, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts to raise awareness for global warming. Also produced a book called The Human Ecology and the Human Spirit in the year 1992, which talked about protecting the environment. Then also we're looking at Sir David Attenborough, the broadcaster and naturalist. He's the only person to have won the British Academy of Film and TV Arts for programs in each of black and white, colored, HD, and 3K. In 2018-2019, he received the Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Narrator in the world. Then also, he's got multiple nature documentaries bringing knowledge of nature to people's homes. Then Jacinda Ardern, the New Zealand Prime Minister. She's one of the female presidents to have attended the she's the only female president to have attended the United Nations Assembly meeting, and then she advocates for economy, success, and environmental economy. She also banned offshore trafficking, planting, and also agitates for planting of 1 billion trees in a 10 years pledge. We also got Anand Mahindra, the chairman of Mahindra Group, who's worth $20.7 million. And he's one of the top 10 in India. He's one of the top 30 CEOs worldwide in 2016. In India, he also opened an NGO for underprivileged girls to attend schools. And then it's also included in Fortune's magazine's World's 50 Greatest Leaders. We've got Akira Sakano, chairman of the board of directors of Zero Waste Academy, Japan. She's an ambassador for the Voice of the Planet organization, and she's also agitating for the Zero Waste Japan movement. Now move on to my colleague, Kevin.
Okay, now we're talking about the panelists. The term itself, safeguarding, means to protect from damage. Al Gore begins the discussion by stating that the climate crisis is the #1 threat to the global economy. This itself can be criticized as the topic being safeguarding the planet. It is not safeguarding the economy. So, and he urges for leadership for climate change. There's a criticism about this because it is supposed to be a collective thing. So, and in speaking, he also goes further by stating the sustainability to revolution, and there's a criticism about this because presently people are investing in the industrial revolution. So, and a further criticism of Al Gore is his 200 million net worth, which obviously as an environmental activist, it puts money into causes like protecting the environment. This can be argued that it's just a tactic for him to increase his net worth. Sir David Attenborough, being a naturalist, his tone was the most solemn, and emphasis was placed on the natural world. It's terms like the degradation of the planet and the conservation of the species. It pushes for people to take care of the environment by telling them to think of their children and their children's children. The Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, being the political representative in the panel, she pushes for rules and legislations for the conservation of the environment. She pledges to plant 1 billion trees in the next 10 years and to stop oil exploration in New Zealand. She also goes further by talking about the GDP and the transitioning of the economy into a more sustainable phase. Mahindra is the CEO of the Mahindra Group. He states he believes that the climate crisis is the #1 business opportunity of the 21st century. Is more in tune with GDP and economic growth, other than the environmental impact that the climate crisis is having. Akira Sakano, she describes safeguarding the environment as being natural, as breathing. She and David Attenborough, they are more about the conservation of the environment, forgetting the economic impact, and because of the different perspectives of the panelists, there is bound to be clash, as Al Gore and Jacinda Ardern are pushing for economic growth and environmental health. Mahindra is all about GDP and economic growth. Akira Sakano and David Attenborough, they are all about environmental health. Now I'll move to Ryan, who's going to talk about the financialized economy.
So to get started, the financialized economy essentially takes away from the economic economy. So Prime Minister Ardern and Mahindra both agreed that the climate change is a massive economic opportunity for businesses worldwide. However, they didn't go into any details in regards to how that opportunity would manifest or how organisations would go about doing so. It is argued, however, that the financial economy is taking over the economic market, and more strength is going into that financialisation. So Investopedia actually states that financialisation refers to the increase in size and importance of a country's financial sector relative to its overall economy. Therefore, the finance sector is becoming a more powerful motive for individuals than the economic market. Hence, people investing more into the financialised world and less into goods and services of the economic market. In terms of this, so we've looked into shareholder maximisation in the financialised world. So shareholder maximisation is simply maximising an investor's, our shareholders' wealth from the investment they have. So as Mr. Friedman so well put himself, he put that the social responsibility of a business is to increase its profits. Therefore, that indicates that there is no social responsibility to look after the climate, and therefore it is only in its best interest to increase the profits, and therefore would benefit shareholders and the financial world more than anyone else. In order to achieve this, CEOs are often pushed to aim for short-term wins. What this does is increases share prices, increases value of the organisations, and therefore it weighs heavily for and weighs in the positive side for shareholders and investors. However, 78% of CEOs do agree they now only have a 90-day window to prove themselves in an organisation. Perhaps unsurprisingly then, 60% of CEOs agree that this is dangerous and encourages short-termism. The problem with the short-term view is that it means social factors are ignored for success. Certain projects that may be benefiting the climate over the long term are ignored, and short-term wins for projects that are going to increase share price, increase organisational value, and bits and pieces like that for shareholders are taken up. This means that CEOs are more likely to take these projects on over the next few months, as their tenures are often very short. However, these decisions don't just come from the CEO themselves, they also come from everyone involved, so the shareholders. At this point, if shareholders place a more value in financial terms than they do on the environmental terms, the climate change will be ignored. Therefore, the short-term wins for a CEO is pivotal. Shareholder maximisation means that businesses are focused on a capital market over a product market. Once again, what this means is that investors are more likely to ensure that share prices and organisational value increase over investing into new products or new services or new technology to help that's a bit greener. To give an idea of this, often green kind of machinery and other products are a little bit expensive in terms of research and development to create, and they won't create much value for an organisation in terms of share price and for investors. Therefore, what will happen is these will be ignored over other share price increasing facets. This short-term success would boost the share price of the organisation, and as a result, the measured performance of the level of the CEO, pleasing shareholders for increased value. Therefore, due to the likelihood of environmental sustainability projects providing minimal financial return, they will be overlooked. For example, if a CEO was to go into a low increase in share price project, it would have less of an impact for shareholders and therefore would be counted as either a failure or not a successful job, and therefore their job could then be at risk. This creates an issue because if financial gain and no value is believed to be gained through climate sustainability, then the latter is overlooked for the former to be achieved. On this basis, this means that the overall stakeholder and social interests can be ignored or not taken seriously by CEOs or shareholders, and the only people that matter is if shareholders are pleased. An example of climate sustainability where it's been matched so that shareholders and the interest of the social wider society have been agreed is IKEA. Now, IKEA, although is not a public listed company, they've invested money into forests and this piece of this. So their business revolves around timber and other bits of natural products. Therefore, what they have done is invest into the environment, which is investing essentially into their environmental sustainability and the financial sustainability of the planet, so both go together. An organisation has many shareholders. The problem with it, as many stakeholders, shareholders being one of them. The issue is, if a non-shareholding stakeholder of an organisation is calling for action to be taken on climate change, their power is often less than that of a shareholder, the people with investments. Now, if this becomes apparent and the CEO does give in to these social matters, what it can happen is investors can then pull out. So therefore, once investors pull out, the CEO's job has not been achieved correctly, the stock price goes down, the share price goes down, the value of the organisation goes down. Therefore, in a financialised terms, they are failing, and therefore they will be removed, which will go on to the short-term wins for the CEO once again, and therefore would promote shareholder maximisation for a CEO to ensure that he is being successful. As this is against CEO's best interests, it can create an agency problem. An agency problem is a conflict between shareholders and managers. This is something that needs to be resolved as quick as possible so it doesn't impede organisational performance. This also can be a problem if shareholders and a CEO have different interests and different ways that they believe that they can create value. If a CEO believes that an organisation needs to become greener or more environmentally sustainable, shareholders don't believe that that is going to work and it will decrease their investment or not make as much investment as they would like, shareholders have the capability to once again pull out of the investment, or the CEO's tenure will not be as long as he may have liked. Therefore, for positive climate change action, organisations need to have a longer term strategic view and be less focused on shareholder maximisation. Make the fight on climate change an economic opportunity, or shareholders globally must invest sustainably. Another aspect of shareholder maximisation is that it promotes inequality of wealth overall. Within inequality of wealth, it means capital is essentially in the top 5% and not many people are able to do anything about it. Therefore, what this means is, with shareholder maximisation and inequality of wealth, smaller people, smaller investors are less able to make an impact and don't have the capital or enough capital to invest in green or sustainable projects. So now I'll go on to the solution. So one solution that we found is there is something called SRIs. This is socially responsible investment. So these limit what you can invest and only invest into companies that are environmentally sustainable and are better for the planet overall. They are no, and as it says above, they are no different in principle, but they restrict their equity shares to firms that meet certain social and environmental standards. However, fund managers, and the problem with SRIs overall, is fund managers are more focused on delivering acceptable return at minimal risk than they are social and environmental goals. So this is a problem that SRIs are currently facing, and a way to kind of get around that would be to kind of teach fund managers the positives of SRIs. Another way is through increased corporate responsibility. The way this can be linked is if organisations feel that there is more of a benefit and social pressure has made companies more aware of their climate, environmental impact, then they may invest more into more greener and more environmentally sustainable projects. So this comes from people believing and having the belief that these are the best way to go and are more valuable than a full frontal financial gain. Once again, increased belief in the environment sustainable. You can use the IKEA example, and they're obviously doing that very efficiently. Another way is ensuring that shareholders are educated on environmental matters. And the conclusion. So overall, a financial economy makes tackling climate change an even greater task. The short-term wins focus of shareholder maximisation stops investments where it is needed. This type of investment may only attract investors who would like to pursue environmental objectives in addition to increased wealth. I've got that bit wrong. Cool. So essentially the short-term wins means that environmental projects' long-term view for environmental sustainability will be overlooked and therefore won't be utilised. As well as that, SRIs, they have limitations. So, as I said, fund managers are more focused on an acceptable return at minimal risk than they are to social and environmental goals. The problem with this is these are the people that are funding and have the majority of capital on the planet which could make an impact. So, inequality, this goes back to inequality of wealth, and essentially if we don't have enough capital to invest into these and you're only leaving it to the few, this may not be enough to help safeguard the planet. Alongside sustainable planet, financialisation and shareholder maximisation can cause economy stagnation. Less investment means tomorrow's cash flow is being impacted. Therefore, if climate change is an economic opportunity, as both Ardern and Mahindra stipulate, then it needs to have investment today. So this should be seen through Ardern's policies and legislation, and should be through Mahindra's organisation. However, we have yet to find anything other than Mahindra's carbon neutral pledge. There has been nothing in regards to investment or saying how he's going to tackle climate change. Furthermore, Al Gore begins the video with the 4th year in a row the World Economic Forum has named the climate crisis the biggest threat to the economy. This gives the impression that as a species we only need to protect our environment so that we can protect our economic environment. However, although this tactic may look negative, it can also appeal to influential investors. It could be a positive. Essentially, you're saying that unless we invest in climate change now, your economic environment will be impacted, and therefore your larger investments will also be impacted. So this could change socially over the next few years, and hopefully things become, and people get more corporate social responsibility and investor responsibility to ensure that they are investing more into climate change than they are just into pure financial gain. Thanks for our presentation.